The segment of What's in Your Hand. So we are coming into the final segment of this radio program today. And I'm enjoying it. I'm really loving it. I'm learning. Anytime I play Les, I love always playing Les because, Les is sharing some real positive principles, success principles. So I'm in the studio with Kyle Dixon, Korey Smallwood. Kyle, say what's up. What's up?
Hello. What's up, everyone? How you doing this morning?
And Korey, say what's up, Korey.
How you doing? How's everyone doing out there?
Yeah. How you enjoying the show, Korey?
I'm enjoying it. Like
What's in your hand?
I'm enjoying it a lot. It's reminding me a whole lot of when we were doing our thing back in school. And I love radio and the community aspect of it, and the conversation and the connecting and what comes out of it.
What did you expect? I mean, we haven't met. This is the first time we met. What did you expect?
I mean, I really didn't come in with any expectations, to be honest. I think that's
a blank canvas.
That's kind of something my father was real big on. Don't go into a situation, either good or bad, clouding your brain. Just let the situation flow. I mean, be prepared here, and then just let it flow. So, I mean, he spoke highly of you and said, "Hey, we're gonna go do a radio show." I said, "Cool." I've known this guy a long time, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, tell Korey how you and I met.
Well, me and Rick met actually through a program here on campus at City College, RAPSI.
Mm-hmm.
And initially we met at a RAPSI workshop in reference to, I think it was a student presentation. And I know my presentation was the next week after, but it was a student presentation. And Rick had said he was a part of a radio show.
Okay.
And I approached Rick to say, well, hey, I own a media company. I've done radio before in school. I'd love to keep in contact with you because we're working on things.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick was like, okay, well, brother, here's my card. Definitely check out my show. Tell me what you think. And I kept his card. And whatnot. And I was like, okay, I'll definitely keep in contact with this brother. And then we ran into each other right before the end of the semester, and he was in Professor Fry's office, and I told him that we were working on retails,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just about to film the episode. So I told him, say, hey, well, this is what the concept is about. And he said, okay, that's pretty interesting. Maybe you should come on my show and talk. I said, we'd love to. We'd be honored to be on the show.
And here we are.
Right.
And here we are.
And you happen to meet a Hall of Famer on top of that.
On top of that, as a bonus.
Cherry on top.
Right. That's enough to get up in the morning for right there.
I agree.
Yeah.
So break down retails. Like, give me the concept of what retails is.
Retails is a TV series, semi-autobiographical TV series, based on initial idea of Korey here, the director, basically about hitting a certain age. Most of these characters are either early 30s or going into their 30s, and during that certain age bracket, you're supposed to have a house, car, children, these certain things that society says you're supposed to have, but these characters for the most part don't have these things, and they're working this retail job in the retail industry, and they're like, what else is there to my life? Is this all that I'm going to do? Have I just hit my wall and that's it? And they're looking. One of the main characters is looking to surpass that. He's looking to fulfill his purpose. To sound like, I know I can do better than this. I know I have other wishes and dreams, aspirations. So how do I go about doing that?
I'm actually going to piggyback on
Yes.
that because the clip you were just playing, the Les Brown clip, actually is a pretty core component of the show.
Ties into it.
I mean, basically, it's that feeling when you reach a certain point. There are people who are 50 who feel this way.
True.
It just so happens that the characters in the story are all people of color and have all just hit 30 or about to hit 30. It's the feeling you get when everyone's telling you, up to this point, you're supposed to have done this, that, or the other, and you haven't accomplished that. So but it's different aspects or different branches off of that feeling. There's the guy that has the talent and knows his purpose and isn't doing it. He's just been still. There's a guy who hasn't recognized his purpose at all and has just been floating. through his 20s, just bouncing around doing all these various things. And now it's hit 30, and now all these expectations have dropped on you, and you don't know what to do because you didn't have a plan. There's another character who had everything planned out for her and got to a point where she realized, I've been following the plans of my parents, and this isn't my purpose. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not following my path, and rebels against what's been laid out. So these are all different aspects of that same feeling. What happens when you hit a wall as a person and have to figure out what you're going to do to go forward, to be fulfilled, to fulfill your purpose, and to be happy for the rest of your life. And that's pretty much what the show is about. These guys all just happen to be working a crappy, low-paying retail job together.
You see, what they need is to discover what's in their hand.
I agree. I agree. That's a nice plug.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm on Sunday at 2 p.m.
Nice.
Also from 2 to 3. Actually, from about 2 to 2:45. Try to get out here a little bit early. And Howard's on every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And his name is Harold. Because I was talking to a lady. We were talking to a lady on the phone recently, and she thought the way I pronounce it, sometimes my pronunciation is not that great. I say Harold. She thought I was saying Hal.
Oh, okay.
She was calling him Hal for the first segment of the show. I was like, oh man, so I got to straighten this out.
Gotcha.
He didn't mind, but I was like, no, you got to get it right. Got to
agree.
get those names right. Is that important to get the names right?
I think
Very
so.
important, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because like I was saying, I said, Korey, I'm looking at you. I meant Kyle.
For sure.
Can't do that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, when you think about this term, you heard the speech by Adam Clayton Powell Jr. What's in your
At
hand?
the top of the show, yeah.
What became present for you, Korey, when you heard that?
I think a lot of the stuff that I heard in the speech was stuff in, whether it's a different form or whether it was, related to me differently, stuff that I heard when we were little, when we would be around our grandparents. And certainly our grandparents, their siblings. Obviously, they grew up in a different era. And I think something was lost when that line of communication got cut. Now, I happen to feel, as a child of the Reagan era, that what happened during the 80s that led into what happened in the early 90s was part of the reason why some of the lines got cut. Because I could talk to some of my students when we had students. A lot of them didn't really know their grandparents, or didn't really spend a lot of time with their grandparents when they were growing up. And I spent tons of time when we weren't in other countries with my grandparents. And my grandmother would tell us about what happened when she was young, growing up on a sharecropper's farm. She certainly would tell us about when she got to be a little older and married my grandfather and moved to Little Rock, Arkansas. They were from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. How just farmland out there, and how Little Rock was a big opportunity, and how they raised their family in this house. They built this house, and how this neighborhood was small, and it ended up growing into this big neighborhood, which unfortunately now doesn't exist because the airport bought all the land. So that the neighborhood's gone now. But my grandmother spent a lot of time laying out those values. You know what I mean? I think what I heard in that speech, a lot of that had to do with self-determination, in my personal belief. Self-determination and knowledge of self. I think, if you finding yourself and knowing yourself is two different things. I think a lot of people get lost finding themselves because they didn't take the time to get to know themselves properly. Who are you outside of who you're raised to be and your influences? Who are you? And certainly self-determination is tied into what we were talking about earlier with discipline and with dedication to yourself. So, my grandmother laid all that, in her own way, she laid all that stuff out. Certainly. She was a nurse. She was a career nurse. My grandfather was one of the first African Americans to drive the city bus in Little Rock. He drove that bus for over 3 decades before he finally had to retire. So those things were, hard work, dedication. My grandfather was big on saying, just get a job, but that's the generation he grew up in. My mom was the one who said, you like poems? Cool. You like movies? Cool. You like music? Cool. You can like all that stuff. Just figure out what you're supposed to be doing and do it. And then just don't give up, Stay dedicated to it.
Kyle Dixon.